Ready? Ready. All right. All right, call this meeting of the Historic District Commission to order at 7 p.m. I will seat Goodrich and Ferguson as full members. Since there is no call. You don't have to read. And we will jump to pre-application meetings. So want to come up? Grab a chair or bring a chair.
Well, yeah. I need to give you the address ring. Or...
Name, serial number.
Leo Roach. I'm here for Mystic Parking LLC. 4 Earl Street, Mystic. And the reason I'm here is to request a sign to be located on 46 West Main Street, right there on the corner of Young Buns building. So that's what I'm requesting. And I got the dimensions and pictures or.
So just center it on the screen to be fine.
It'll come up over here, Leo. Just flip it around upside down.
Yeah. So that's the signage that I'd like to put up in the building. It's going to be done by Cam that does does all the signs in the area there. What is it then? The Mystic carving signs.
Yeah.
So he would be doing the sign. So it's kind of a historic look as well.
Is it going to be carved or just painted?
Painted. And that would be probably wrought iron. For the sign to hang the sign. Need the location of the building. Right here. Where I'm pointing. No, side there. Right here. Would be down right there. That location in the corner. Sorry if I'm moving too fast. I move on to the next picture.
So we're gonna stick out, which way is it oriented, Leo?
Facing west.
It would be facing west, if I'm saying there. So the sign would be at the corner pointing. That would be pointing down Pearl Street.
Oh,
To the parking lot in Pearl Street.
pointing towards,
With a sign.
The sign line would be on the corner. So
to be pointing towards the Army Navy store.
no, sorry, no, it would be parking down towards the parking lot down in Pearl Street.
It would be across Main Street,
Yeah.
Main Street.
Beyond Main Street, and then you'll see the sign.
Right. No, I understand the arrows pointing that way, but I'm
Yeah.
saying the sign itself is sticking out from.
It is sticking out, yeah, right over the sidewalk there on Main Street. So,
And where on the building there, Leo?
where am I?
I mean, what height is up at the head window?
About 9 feet, yeah,
By the window?
How high?
9 feet round,
9 feet.
that would be the bottom of the sign.
So,
So we're right here. Sorry.
so 9 feet be the bottom of the sign?
Yeah.
So,
What from the sidewalk up?
okay, so the top of the sign would be about 12 feet.
Yeah, 12 feet.
Well, the sign is 36 plus the hanger,
12 and a half.
12 and a half feet up.
Can it stick out 5 feet? Can it actually stick out 5 feet because of the
So why not?
state right away?
Like across the sidewalk at that point.
Right. Yeah, so, okay.
That's another sign there. That's another kind of angle of it there. And it would be, where am I?
How far did that Young Buns one come out?
It comes out actually 4 or 5 feet.
Okay.
And also, the one in chapter 1, that comes out 5 feet.
Okay.
So it's gonna be about the same height as the upper
Yeah,
sign, Leo?
yeah, same height. On the same height, be there at the corner.
And then the one will be coming off the side of the building, Leo, when you put the one.
Yeah. That is. Pearl Street, it is really lacking signage for anybody to go that way. So down to something. Sorry, do you need AD?
We need all of them.
All of them, okay.
No, it's not. 'cause
Oh,
it's
this is preliminary, sorry.
So with the final, you'll need like materials and such, just
Materials, okay,
A little more in detail.
like what a bar is made of.
Okay.
What is,
And like where it's gonna be.
And then locate it on one of those
okay,
drawings.
so I can put an X on
yeah.
my draw.
I mean, or if you wanted to, you could have someone Photoshop it into place, you know, it's
Okay,
the most helpful thing to do.
all right, okay. Do that,
I think it's fine if it's consistent with the sizes of the other ones. 5 feet seemed bigger in my head, but
yeah, if you're going down, actually Cam came down and no, you know Cam.
Yeah.
But he came down and he came down and he measured the chapter 1, 7 o'clock in the morning, he went up, he measured it. Like, okay.
I think it's
Like, okay,
How's the parking lot doing?
it's doing good, but we need signage.
People don't even know it's there.
Oh, it's there, and I have an attendant at all times, and now I've got the attendants are like, all right, ask them where, to find it online or whatever. 95% is saw the sign on the corner, so the sign is gone from the corner now, and I went from 90% down to 5%. So actually, I'm closing it now for the next couple of weeks because I need to get. It's pointless. So. So the signage is very, very important. So that's the reason I'm here.
Are you allowed to have somebody put on one of those walking billboard signs and?
I thought about
on the
it,
sidewalk?
actually.
Is that prohibited?
I thought about it.
Well, that works, you know.
Are you applying for the job, Todd?
Start jaywalking. and stuff, you know?
I actually thought about it, like those guys out for the tax.
Big thing,
Yeah,
like closing sale. This time it's parking.
yeah.
You look good with that sign on, Todd.
So that's the reason I'm here.
Okay.
And
yes, it's materials, location of the building.
okay,
You've got the size.
Just be over detailed.
okay,
And our next meeting is actually now, what, 3 weeks away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys just gotta find out when you gotta get your application in by, because the deadlines are pretty strict now.
okay. Yeah, I'll probably pop down here tomorrow.
Talk to Tom Santorini. All
Okay. All right, no worries.
right, thanks, Leah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it for pre-apps?
Something else on here.
No one on.
Oh, page clerk raised his hand. Hang on a second. I'll switch cameras.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
We are now.
Yeah.
We are now.
Okay, great. We've attended one meeting quite some time ago. I'm just not sure if I'm speaking at the right time for preliminary.
Yep.
Okay. Would you mind telling me how to make my PDF show, or can you see my screen and I just go to it?
Should be,
You share your screen, we should be able to see it.
I'm gonna try and make you into a panelist. And you should be able to share
Okay.
your screen.
Can you click share screen?
Your muted page.
I'm sorry about this. When we did this before, it was very straightforward, and I'm just not, I have a PFD with 3 pages. It's very quick and I'm having trouble seeing how to show it to you.
Do you
Go
see-
over the bottom of the screen. There should be a share screen button that pops up. It's green in the middle.
Yes, it's here. I've
Just
opened
click on
that. Yeah,
Be able to
it
put it on the
says
screen.
desktop. And it's asking me to open system preferences again.
Can you, and
If
can
I
you turn
just
your,
share my
turn your camera on?
presentation now,
Can you turn your camera on? I think that's part of the issue.
my camera's on, the camera's always on this. But that wouldn't help with trying to share my screen. And I did this before with you all in the spring, so I apologize for the technical difficulties. How do I show you my screen?
I don't know.
It's not even coming up.
Yeah, that's what,
Game's not on.
the reason I say your camera's not on, because all it says is your name. We're not seeing your screen or.
Can you see the icon at the bottom that looks like a camera, might have a red line through it? Next to your microphone. There we are.
Okay, so now what I would like to do is rather than FaceTime, is put my drawings up. So,
So hit the green button again.
Share screen.
okay, I guess I have to open systems preferences to grant access. I'm very sorry about this. I don't know if someone else wants to go first while I.
You're the only person. Take your time.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any idea how to do this, Mark? It's not opening systems preferences. I use this computer all day long, and this is very weird. Do you have any thoughts on this at all? Yeah, but that's the desktop, and it says open security and privacy. Privacy Zoom, okay. Okay. I have to leave the webinar, leave this and come right back. If you have enough patience, I'll be right back. I'm awfully sorry.
Sure, that's fine.
I don't think whether she's on camera or not has anything to do with her ability to share the screen. We've had plenty of people share their screens and not be on camera.
I just wanted to make sure.
It's a different function. The camera is a different function from the.
Yeah, that might be true, but.
Bill, you're giving out bad advice.
I don't have a lanyard up.
Where's your lanyard? You don't have one either.
There we go. Perfect. We see your screen page.
Oh, they did the garage.
They've actually been doing a lot of work on the place. It looks good.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
What address?
On the corner of High Street.
No, I tell her she's muted. I think she's trying to talk.
Is she muted? Can you hear us?
Page, you're muted.
You're muted.
Okay.
All
right,
right,
there we
good.
Okay, well, I'm not very adept technically, but hopefully this will go more smoothly now. So We have built the building that we spoke with you about in the spring, which is a workshop, a breezeway, and a 2-car garage. And we're created a little bit of private space at the back of the property. And we mentioned 2 things we're interested in doing in the spring, and we're asked to come back with those because the approval at that time was granted for the new structure. And those 2 things are you able to see a cursor when I move it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So one of them is a series of solar panels above the breezeway on the south facing area of the barn, the south facing roof, which are unlikely to be visible from High Street. There may be a quick glimpse of them, but the roof is black asphalt, so they'll be very minimal. And the other is a porch that you enter between the 2 structures, and the bulk of it sits at the rear of the property. And next, I would like to share 4 elevations, and I might zoom in a little on those. I don't know. Is that large enough are you seeing this on a large screen?
Yeah, we can see it, yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, great. This is the north facing facade, and there's no change that will be visible from this view. That faces New London. Then the next view here is facing High Street. And this is where the barn is set down a bit. There'll be a little bit of a retaining wall going across the yard because there's quite a bit of slope on this property between where you enter and where you come up to the house. And we'll have a little walkway next to the barn, and then we're proposing a little entrance here. There's an existing concrete slab, and we're going to conceal it and put a little wood deck on it. And then it will traverse along, headed west along the depth of the house, and then turn to your left heading south where the porch will be sitting. I'm going to skip to this bottom elevation because you see that here. This is the opposite view. If you had come directly from High Street, you'd walk along the deck, come up some steps, and get to this elevation. There was already a door here on the house, and we have put windows and a door here since we last met. We showed them in the spring. And this is a railing that's sort of a bench built in as a railing. So there's a little bit visible from the street, but it's pretty modest. And this is just the view that we looked at before. This would be the view from the south, which is pretty hard to see from High Street. But if you were walking, you might get a glimpse of it just as you were coming up from the neighbor's property. And then the last, I have to move this down a little bit. The last sheet is showing before and after in photographs, the before across the top and the after at the bottom. On the barn, where everything is eventually going to be charcoal gray, and the barn is has a dark roof. So I do have solar panels showing here. There's an array of 12 panels, and that's just above the opening. And then so these pictures have been, I used my backgrounds at different times. So the upper left is the house at the west before we took the siding off. The center top photo is after we've taken the siding off and discovered all the multitude of different kinds of sheathing and boards and things that are on this house here, which is kind of
1809.
1809. It's kind of a fun puzzle here. And the porch we're proposing will sit in just above the stone at this level here. And it will come up to the bulkhead, and it extends about halfway across the distance between the barn and the house. And I've shown it below in a sort of a weathered gray. It will be a series of thin slats that form the back of the bench and the rail, and then a little bit of lattice below that. And it's higher at the back, and as you see over on the bottom right, quite low when you come in at the front. You don't go up 3 steps until you reach almost the corner of the house. And that's the current. Actually, it looks slightly better than the top right photo here today because we have moved along a bit on the siding. And I think that pretty well summarizes what we're hoping to do.
So is that a stone wall I see in the bottom right photograph?
It
Is that a
is,
dry
yes.
wall?
Yes, there's a sort of, if you look at the top one, top right, there's a sort of a ledge there right now, and there's a lot of slope on this property. So we're using retaining walls in a couple of areas to manage that better.
So that wall is is acting as a retaining wall too?
It will actually, yes.
And the slat design on your rails, can you describe that a little bit more specifically? What is it? Is it a series of horizontal boards?
It is exactly, yes. And it is so that it's a bench you can sit on, and rather than just being a railing, the seat is integrated into the railing. Because we're going to dine outside and sit outside and read, and we like the idea of it extruding, having this long bench that also serves as the rail run the length of the deck.
Okay, so in your application, your formal application, you're obviously just gonna have to have some architectural drawings of detailing those various additions and exactly what they're made of and what they're gonna look like.
Okay,
I mean, in other words, the rail structure, whatever the materials are you're using for the deck.
The wall.
The wall, is that gonna be you think it's gonna be a dry wall or appear to be a dry wall from a stone standpoint?
it's going to appear to be a drywall. The mortar will be towards the center so that it looks like
Yeah.
a dry laid wall.
Okay, so you just want to give us a drawing of that or a photograph of a similar or identical wall from some other piece of property either, just so we know what it's going to look like.
Absolutely. And we're hoping to make that wall tie in quite nicely with the stone foundation that's on the house, which is quite lovely. So.
I mean, I think you're doing a great job so far. It really does look dramatically better.
I just want to ask you, your parking area by the garage there, is
Yes.
that just a straight, is that just gravel or is that oil and bound together somehow?
It's oil and stone.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I
Some
just wasn't
people call
sure.
it chip and seal. It's oil and stone. And we went
It looks
to the
good.
Public Works Department and they were wonderful. We were able to reduce the parking to 48 linear feet. You used to come up right in front of the house, almost to the door that people use as a front door. We've been parking our old electric car right in front of the house until we get the garage usable. But we want to have that feel much more park-like, and we're planning on a grove of trees to soften it as well when we're done. So.
That looks good so far, though.
Yeah, it does.
Looks really good.
And you finally painted those buttons in the window. It was driving me crazy.
Oh, my God. And
yeah.
we had to wait for the putty to cure.
Last weekend.
You know, we have to
I
wait.
drive up there all the time and I kept saying, my God, are they ever gonna paint those buttons in those windows there? They take forever.
And
What-
now I gotta
I'm
scrape the
just
window.
teasing you.
Well, it's going to be very
guys can-
painful to go through until the spring. We're putting the siding up with primer on the back and one coat of paint. And we will paint the house in the spring. So we're going to have the old yellow trim until the spring, when the whole house will become charcoal gray, as you see in the bottom center photo. And I am counting the days.
All right, we'll just wear sunglasses till you get that done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so just list of materials, a little better drawings on the railings and any additional information, the more detailed, the better.
Wonderful.
In concept, I think it's good.
Great. So we'll get an application in, and then someone mentioned that it's 3 weeks rather than 2 until the next meeting.
Yeah, because
Correct.
we're today's the 15th, right? So we're the first Tuesday of December,
Okay, great.
whenever that
Um,
is.
The railing materials, I'm assuming you're gonna do a cedar or something like that, right? Just based on everything else, or?
It'll be cedar. It might be teak on the bench that we build, and for the deck itself, we may use grappa. But they all will weather out to a very beautiful gray, sort of silvery color, regardless of which one of those species we use.
Okay. Anyone else?
Nope.
Nope, looks good.
Looks real good.
Yeah, do you have anything else, or?
I think we're in good shape. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
appreciate it. All right, any other pre-applications? Nope. Public communications?
Just Tom's entering, he got notice to me today, actually. Let the commission know that the tenant called back and is requesting an application from 39 Pearl Street Defense. So they're gonna be coming in.
Okay.
He brought him the application.
Old business?
I think that's these folks, correct?
There were no minutes, right? I didn't see
No,
the
we don't
minutes.
have
There
any
were no
minutes.
minutes.
No, Linda's coming back this.
Right, okay, because I kept looking for it.
Sure. Come on up. Name and address for the record.
Anne Marie DeGraff and Wright, 3 Orchard Lane, Mystic. I'm back. I believe you guys requested pictures. And I took pictures directly from the sidewalk.
Namry, I just so every day I did send the pictures you and I took. We were walking to Peter and Eric, so they have.
Okay.
pictures Also.
So this is the view from
Just flip it around.
you want me to flip? Sorry. So that's the regular view. And then this is. Zooming in.
Sorry, I'm not sure what regular view.
It's just, I took the picture.
Walking on the sidewalk.
Right. And then I,
What sidewalk?
this is,
Oh, okay.
sorry,
So I just,
New London Road. So, and this picture, the yellow house is mine.
So that's a zoom in of that.
The one on the right.
Peter's kind of zoomed over both of them.
okay. So can we, I'm sorry, just because I'm
No,
trying to take a very neutral, can you just slide one picture over either one?
We just,
Alright, so that's,
we can take a break.
Yeah, he's coming on the record and you guys.
Okay, so this is walking up New London Road, and then you make the left
Left
of the
to-
orchard
okay.
past,
that's,
Scott House in the corner.
okay, I used to live right here,
Yeah, you were across the
it's
street.
across the street, okay.
oh, and the big,
No, the White House with the little porch on. the
oh,
front.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was,
I mean, that's just a zoom in.
okay, no, okay.
Now, I don't know if they can share them, but Peter and Eric also have pictures that I took from Orchard Lane also, because. We're looking at all the public views.
And this is the fence in question, correct?
It is correct.
Okay. Okay, oh, thank you. I see those, Bill. Sure.
Yeah, I don't, you tell me, Peter, I don't know. I sent them to you guys.
Yeah, on the record. From in there if you want.
Do I have to show it on the screen? Okay. Good enough.
Yeah,
So that's from orchard thing.
So that's the question from a different angle. Okay. Thank you.
and
This is it right here.
Yeah, that's from orchard. So the blue house is there.
And just so you know, because of that picture, I'll be back because we have to fix the driveway. So that's a completely unrelated thing, but I. have to fix
Sure.
that.
Should we Mrs. Catsini.
She's on here. She's on this.
So do you have anything you want to share other than the picture? We want to give you your window of opportunity, I guess, to start the process of the question.
I really didn't think that it was visible, from the street, and it's minimal height, and we did it in black. So that,
Why did you choose black?
so it would fade into the background. As opposed to, silver or something like that. And I really didn't think you could see it if you're just walking down the street. I think you have to really focus and not see it.
Do you have any questions?
That's, I don't know if you need them or not.
That photograph that showed the fence there, that is from the street, correct?
Yes.
So the only thing I would advise is, I remember one was on Library Street during COVID. And I had him come in to you guys. And it was just, you could barely see it going up the other, I don't know the street, but it's the other street on the side. You could barely see it walking up this way. And you guys were like, you can't see that at all. So I don't know why they're gonna be here. They're putting the deck on the back and they're putting the windows in, and I said, they should probably come in and get HTC approval. And they're like, you can't see it from the public way. And I said, well, you can see it on the side road when you look it out, and you look across the other person's yard, if you look to the other yard. And that was during COVID, you guys actually made it where it's like, wasn't a big deal. So I kind of backed off of making people come in for that kind of stuff.
I think it's tough, because I think if you could see it through like many yards, because if you cut down the vegetation on across the board, you can see everything from everywhere,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
So I think you have to kind of be somewhat reasonable about what it is and how. I mean, I can see the wall.
That's why if it's not black and white, I'm bringing
Yeah.
it to you guys.
I
But I
can
also think we've made the garage next to the church and the library. They've shown us all angles. I think we have been looking at
Started to.
all public views much more carefully now.
This is like
because of-
early in COVID, like, this was like early in COVID when it was that one. that
I
came in.
think it's visible from a public way in the property. That it abuts the public way, it's a lot different than if it's visible.
That's the way the one in Library Street was. It was one over from the corner road.
Is a rumor, but
Yeah. That wasn't.
well,
I'm
I
just,
think if it's visible, it's visible.
Yeah.
Going forward. Unless it's some weird scenario.
that's why, like you said, when you were talking about mini splits, and stuff like that, no, send them all in. If it's visible, it's visible.
Fair. But that's different conversation, because like solar panels,
Well, solar's a little different because of the state.
right? Anyways, whatever.
We're getting, yeah, we're going off a tangent on the
Okay.
side over there.
Sorry. Do
Fine.
you have anything?
I have
else?
nothing further.
Okay.
Do you need these or no?
Let's just hang on to them for a second.
Let's save them for the record.
That's right.
And then
I'll leave them here.
it's Miss Catsini.
Hi, everyone. Andrea Catsini, 17 New London Road. Sorry, I'm not on video. My son's doing something on a video. He needs the bandwidth, so I'm gonna keep mine off, but I'll be brief. I think that, we're in a historic district, obviously, that's why we're here, and there are rules that are applicable. There's statutes, there's the historic district guidelines, the handbook, the state, the town ordinances, and they do have to apply equally into all properties. And I think they're very clear that you have to view this from a public right of way, and that chain link fences are not appropriate. I mean, the handbook's very clear about that. And I do think that this is about maintaining the historic integrity of the district. And that's very important. And it's just not appropriate within the historic district to have a chain link fence visible from multiple streets. That's really all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You want to come back up? What would you like to do?
Well, resolve this amicably, but I didn't, I reached out and didn't get a return phone call or anything. The plan is to put something growing over the fence, which I know isn't, within, but it's doing some kind of planting between there and the wall. Because right now it's, difficult to get in between the wall, and we want to keep it, not let it get weedy or anything, so that,
I have a thought. What about? And tell me if this would work. What about just adding the wood fence to the face of the chain link fence? Then you don't have to tear anything out. You would just be applying it. I know it seems a little silly, but, or tear the chain link fence out. 'Cause it-
I cannot tear the chain link fence out. The reason the fence is there is because I have 2 dogs now, both rescues. And that the stone wall has fallen over, so it cannot contain an animal. As a matter of fact, I know that because when when Andrew's house was being rented, there was a dog that would come over the fence. So, which was no big deal. Encouraged the dog to go back home, but that's why the chain link fence is there
Could you apply the wood fence just to the face of it? And then it
for
shield
the
the,
ability.
Yeah.
That's an added expense. And wood isn't, the wood isn't exactly cheap.
Right.
So, and I'm about to redo my driveway because I have a wall coming down. The retaining wall is coming down on my driveway, and I have to do that, and that's a priority at this point.
problem is she's right about what the guidelines say. So I'm just trying to think of a way to solve it without. Without tearing it out
Right,
and changing it to a wood fence. So if it got applied to the front, it could just be applied without having to like put the
yeah,
posts in.
I see what you're saying, yeah,
It's a cheaper option.
yeah, it is.
I just don't know how to. You can come up,
I have a question.
sure. I'm just trying to think of it.
Yeah, I know.
She's putting adding a rock layer on top of her wall that will hide the fencing like that high. So she still adds that top layer of her retaining wall that she wants to do.
The stone
Not
wall.
visit the stone wall, not to.
Problem is, we can't mandate your neighbor do something.
One that called her over for 2 hours and told her she was gonna do that.
I understand, but we don't have the authority to mandate that a neighbor do something on your application.
No, I understand that.
But what this gentleman was saying was, this was during COVID and we took all these pictures and it was,
But pull up a chair and have a seat if you'd like. You don't have to stand.
no,
Sure.
it was approved that chain link could go there. With all the pictures we sent in, and now all of a sudden, it's not okay.
I think that,
She did that.
I don't think, I know the reason why it got brought back up was because at some point. Someone said in the meeting. I think this is correct. From what I remember of the review, that it wasn't going to be visible.
And the DOA states that also, that it can't be visible.
If you had said, I want to put a chain link fence up and. We're very clear that the chain link fence was going to be visible and it was in the COA that it was going to be visible, then. I think it was
Well, I didn't really think it was gonna be visible because the place where it
You
is
really have to stop
visible,
and look at the house.
look at the fence, look for the
You
fence.
better look for it.
Because where we thought it would be visible is where we put the wood.
The wood, right.
The fence, because it's clearly
Miss
would
Scott,
have been
Miss
visible
Scott,
there.
yeah.
And that's why I zoomed in on this to demonstrate that the difference in the visibility.
Right.
That being said, it is also visible from Orchard Lane, and that's the pictures I took and said, and I understand that the enforcement concern came from New London Road, but it is also visible on Orchard Road. So I think
Fortunately,
Orchard Lane, I'm sorry. So I think we have to be clear on that. It is visible from two public ways.
I mean, I guess what everyone's saying here is, and this is obviously an unfortunate situation, but when the approval was granted, it was assumed that the chain link fence was not going to be visible. And that was the basis and for the
Really?
approval, and
okay, so, no, I'm
it
sorry.
was not going to be visible from a public way. And in fact, these photographs would appear to indicate that it is visible from a public way. So,
From New London.
well, or it's any public way, really.
For Orchard Lane,
Which, to your point, if it's if they applied my idea of applying the wood fence to the New London roadside wouldn't solve the problem for the orchard.
Unless they wanted to sandwich it. I mean, that's
That would be a waste.
Oh my
Way,
God,
way-
now there's a wood fence on both sides of it.
No, that would be,
no. Went out that way.
that wouldn't be effective. Thoughts? Ms. Cassini, do you have any other comments?
I'm sorry, I really. I think I would stand by what I said. I mean, I understand, yes, building up the wall will not hide this. Certainly not on Orchard Lane. It's gonna be a considerable expense for me, which honestly, I have other priorities at my house right now. This is not about me. I mean, honestly, it's. I mean, I could say a lot, you know, sir, I just. I feel that, you know, we make an exception and then we have to make an exception and then we have to make an exception. You know, I've been at my house for 21 years and I had to comply with requirements for a fence when I put it between myself and 15 New London Road. And, you know, we put a wood fence. When we put on a new porch, we had to comply with the requirements and come before you all, other folks who were there. But, you know, and there's certain standards that are there for a reason. I think that if you allow leniency in one respect, then I don't understand the purpose of having a historic commission. I'll be frank, because if you're not going to enforce your own requirements, then I don't see the point. So it's just. I mean, you know, Anne Marie, I'm sorry, I don't have anything against you all, but you know, it's just not appropriate there. And whatever the intent was, I mean, I looked at the documents as well. They were pretty clear that these were not supposed to be visible from the public right of way. And I think I've said enough. Thank you.
Would you be willing to switch it out,
Switch what up?
the chain link to wood?
I can't. And there's a chain link fence in the back of the yard that is not mine, which you saw from the pictures that existed.
It looks like it's only that section of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections, 7.
That's 36 feet.
I know. It just seems that option A is you voluntarily switch it out. Option B is we decide,
Right.
which
The problem is that that's a great expense. And I don't believe I have other priorities right now. I really have to get to be perfectly honest with you. That's a lot of money.
Problem,
And can I see the picture from Orchard Lane?
sorry.
Yeah, that's not from the street. That's not from the center of the street. That's elevated, because the way we have it set is so that the picket fence hides it if you're. going
That's
in the middle
taken
of
from
street.
I took that from the property line between you and your neighbor. That's right from the
That's
street.
not the property line, because my fence
Let me
is.
see, let
all
me make sure I'm
in.
thinking of the right picture that I sent him,
That one. That's not the property.
or whatever. That's in front of your house. I'm standing on the street when I took it.
I zoomed it in slightly because it doesn't separate. That's,
Yeah, and you can't see it. Oh, you're talking about, yeah, all right.
it's up to you.
Yeah,
The problem is. Well, it's up to you.
I just heard that there's, there have been exceptions where people haven't been held as strictly. This has been unevenly enforced. And I'm not clear.
The chain link fence has never been approved, ever, that I've been on it, except for yours, ever, since I was on at least.
Okay,
And she does make a point, which is it's in the guidebook. But if it's not visible, like I said to you last time, I don't have any objections to it. So it's only that visible section, which I think is I don't want to speak for you, but is that your point?
That's my point. That's the point that was brought up to me. And I mean. I see both sides of it. I'm a homeowner too. I understand what home renovations
Yeah.
cost. I lost a fence in a windstorm, so I know well. Not to sound, I've just got to take a very black and white point of view of it. We just heard from a business owner whose business has gone down 90% because of a sign
Oh.
issue. And he understands that, and he's got to wait his 3 weeks and he's got to get it done. And that's, I'm sure, a considerable loss to him. And we're not here to hurt anybody. Please don't take it that way. But at the end of the day, there's ordinances, there's laws, there's regulations. And they have to be maintained, because then what happens when he wants to do something and I say no, then it's why I let you do it. Then it's I let you do it and I let this person do it. And then at that point, to Ms. Katsini's point, well, why are we sitting here?
yeah, no, I get that.
I think to what Peter's bringing up, if it was like 2 feet of visible, from an angle, I don't know. That being said, I also walk by your house every day and I've never really noticed it. So,
Right, because you have to look, you have to stare at it to see it. You have to come look for it. And that's the part.
I will say that I have never noticed it until it was brought up. But-
And quite honestly, you said the same thing, Joe. That you never noticed it until it was brought to your attention.
And now it's me in the face every time I drive by.
Right.
But to her point, it does say in the handbook that you can't have it. And that's something we have to follow. So. I don't know. Do you think?
Just what I said before, that I think that it's an unfortunate situation, but in this case, you can see the fence from a public way. And unfortunately, the potential expense or whatever is not a factor that we even take into consideration. Which sounds kind of harsh, but that's just the way we have to operate. So, when I remember when we voted on this, we assumed the fence was not, the assumption was the
And-
fence was not going to be visible.
And quite honestly, I thought it wasn't with having the fence.
And I'm sure you did, because I don't think anyone try to do anything, pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I mean, it's just that when in fact it got built, it is visible and unfortunately, I think it's really gonna have to be removed.
I have an idea.
You want to tell me?
No, I'm just kidding. So you're saying it has to be removed. Why does it have to be removed? Why can't we just lower it down? Right now, it's up on the property line, but it's up on, like on a hill. So basically, I don't know if you can see it in this picture. No, you can't see it. So if you're looking at the yard, you saw the yard from the street, you said, right? Okay, so if you're looking down straight on the yard, you know that we have like the retaining walls here, the walls here. Then you have the bank, we have a banking and then it slopes down. If we would push it down, then it wouldn't be visible. But the problem with that is when she rents her house out, if there's any dogs, they come over our side and then our dogs stop fighting with them.
I mean, into that approach, though, you could increase the height of the picket fence on Orchard Lane to hide it, and then put the wood fence on the face of the
But I'm
chain.
trying to get away from any more expense and just dig up
So
that,
The foot, wait,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I know what you're saying, but
I don't think you can hide it based upon like.
I appreciate the thought, but I think the problem is that'll hide it possibly from New London Road. It's still be visible from Orchard.
no,
No, it
not if we
won't.
raise the fence,
No, it will not.
not if we make the picket fence.
Then maybe not, the picket
What I'm
fence,
saying is,
okay,
If you take the wood fence and you apply it to the face of this,
right.
and then you take this whole fence but you'd have to tear it out and then go up another foot, you'd never see it.
I see what you're saying. That's right. So apply the picket for New London and raise the
But that's
fence.
just as expensive. It's just swapping it out, if not more.
No. if we
No,
put the
when I'm-
picket on
And I see that,
Orchard
Hey, wait.
Lane-
What I was saying is take this whole thing,
no,
Yeah, no, wait,
take this fence and add a foot to it,
right,
which would mean you'd have to replace all this. And then you added something to the face of that fence on her side. You would hide it from both ways, and then it doesn't matter if you leave it. But if you're gonna swap all this out and then add it to this, you're better off just changing it out.
no, because I maybe. We can talk to. I have to talk to
Chris.
Chris about,
So you know, how see
Whether-
how the chain link, you see how the chain link is black, right?
Yeah.
can't move it down.
No, all right, so I just got an idea. So instead of replacing the chain link, if we would do, like they have those western fences, I guess, I don't know what they call them.
Like rail fence.
Yeah. And just add the wood to the top, so you don't see the chain link.
You'd still have to bring the fence up from Orchard Street.
Yeah, that fence would have to be taller.
Right. So
If
it's
you want to
visible
be-
from New London Road and Orchard.
Cause
That's the issue. It's visible from two corners.
So he can add something to the top,
Yeah,
probably.
But-
He can add something to that.
That's what I'm saying is that it would almost be better off if you just took the chain part of the chain link fence off, left the posts in the ground. And just had them set the wood posts on like around the metal ones and just added a couple sections of the wood. And then you don't have to rip the footings out and all the fence stuff. You're just swapping out the filler. And then you don't have to do anything on
Chris is
Orchard
supposed
Street.
to come to do the railing for the driveway. Why don't we just ask him if he has any ideas?
yeah,
What-
we have to,
Can we do that?
Yeah.
He's coming to do the railing for the driveway. What's that?
Chris Wilson.
Chris Wilson.
Knowing fence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's coming to fix, because we gotta do the driveway, so he's gonna put a safety rail there. So he's coming to look at that on Thursday, and maybe he can give us an idea what we can do to,
So my thought is you take the post and you just drills a hole down the middle, you slide it right over the metal.
Mhm.
And then you just add a couple sections of infill and you don't have to touch anything on Orchard or anything. And he's not redigging all the stuff, which is the
Right.
costly part.
trust me,
It's just a couple
I know.
sections.
Chris quoted me my fence too, so I understand what the expense is.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, we know. You're responsible for holding up our fence.
yeah,
Um,
no, Hannah, the driveway.
Yeah,
Tina's doing our driveway.
Right.
Custom site work?
Yeah.
Yeah, he works for me. Yeah.
yeah, all of them.
So. Just so. Can everybody hear? That was my question, like, I don't know how sensitive these new microphones.
There are, I've been watching.
Okay, no, I'm just want everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you. Good
No,
thinking. No, really good
I-
thinking,
I
Bill.
I don't want anything to come back, oh, there was secretive talk, that's baloney,
Yeah.
there's no secretive talk going on, we're
no,
I think
close, so we're talking stuff. So so do you have a general idea of what he's referring to?
Yeah.
On,
we just have to talk to the fence
Chris.
person.
I think unfortunately the consensus is that as unfair as it is, which I agree with you, it was represented that it wouldn't be visible, which is what was voted on, and the rules say it can't be visible. So we need to find a solution to make it
not
not
this.
visible.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I think you would be inclined to push enforcement action, which would just be a pain. So I think working together to make the neighbor happy, to follow the rules is probably going to be the.
And to help. you
And
in your-
I mean, that's a conversation I had. I would said I prefer that we find a way to
Yeah, no,
fix this rather than
Okay.
take it there. Yeah.
Yeah, she tried.
And I do feel really bad because I never noticed it.
right,
And I'm not sure I would have noticed it. But that
What rules?
is neither here nor there.
Right.
yeah, it's fine.
So I guess from a public point of view, what's the next steps? Yes, I hear
This is
what
gonna
you're saying.
be tabled and.
Are we gonna continue this?
Continue it to
Continue this?
December 6th.
conversation?
Yeah.
What, and then
Yeah.
you'll come back and Chris, is that what,
Chris Wilson.
Chris Wilson,
knowing that.
you'll talk to Chris
Yeah,
Wilson, explain the situation.
Yep.
And then come back to us, and we'll invite Aunt Miss Cazzini to come back to hear.
Well,
I mean, I don't
And would it be,
I don't know if that's,
to change it,
No, they have an approval for a chain link fence. It's not visible from a right of way.
but if they change it to wood, they have the approval for the wood.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
I just want to make sure everyone knows.
The issue is the visibility of the chain link fence. If they remove that issue, there's no issue.
Okay. And then we can move on to your driveway.
Yeah,
So we kind of, we're stuck. We can't do anything on the driveway until we resolve this.
Right.
So.
right.
so would it be fair to say we'll come back on the 6th with a plan
Proposed.
Yeah.
proposal?
Yeah.
If hypothetically Chris says to you, I can take care of this week or next week and you're okay with it and it works out, just do it. Come back with some photos and it's over,
Okay.
if it all works for everyone. So,
Mhm.
because we don't have to reapprove.
Right.
Anything, but you can just do.
Right.
it.
What we anticipated when we
Mhm.
signed off.
You good? Good, okay, you good? Thank you.
All righty
Thank
then.
you.
Thank you.
New business?
No, I just have something I would like to bring up and make a motion about.
Sure.
So I was talking to the State Historic Preservation Office about something completely different today. They have training for historic district commissions that's now Zoom. We don't have to go anywhere. So since we've got a couple alternates that are hopefully gonna get seated, we've got hopefully an alternate coming on. Chairman that suited his position, I'd like to make a motion that we do a special meeting to attend one of these or on Zoom so we can come here and do it.
I will second your motion.
Sorry.
Are you in favor of a,
Yeah, that's
on
fine.
Zoom? All right, we're all in favor.
All right.
Are we?
Yeah, no, I mean, the idea is that.
I don't think you even have to make a motion on that, but you just have to have it documented when you're gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so
An
the
educational.
the next one is November 30th, which might be too soon. Do you want me to get a couple dates and send them to you, Peter, so you
I'm in
can?
New York.
Good for me.
I was gonna get, yeah,
I'm in
it's
New York
all days.
City.
Okay. All right, I will get a list from them and then send it to you, send it to us so we can pick a date or talk about the next meeting.
So it's It's not like something that we just all log into. It's something they do with us.
So they go to different HDCs around the state as a host.
So it needs to be published as a special meeting.
It's a special meeting. We can all watch it here and
It's not like we're just all signing on. to
No.
something.
I think what we want to do is make sure. we
With the
publish it.
cautionary note that it's the Historic Preservation Commission, and they are preservationists. And don't ever forget that, because we are not supposed to be preservationists. I've said this before.
we can argue that there's actually a section in the book I've read that says we are, but we'll say that for a different meeting.
Preservationists and people who will approve
We'll
rehabilitation.
all glean something out of them.
Right, because I mean, in other words, look what they did down
Gravel.
on gravel there. No AZAC, you know, they made, you know, I mean, they go beyond the pale.
No, you let them use AZAC and everything.
No, he's not using AZAC at all. He's using all wood.
But he's in stone veneer rather than stone blocks.
They got away with that.
Well, I
We had
think
some big issues on the library when we were doing it because of the Preservation Commission.
yeah, but that's a tough structure to really change. That's a pretty
Well,
important.
we got the awning windows in there.
I do think though, on like the Pearl Street one, I think that would have been fine to do, I said this, to do Marvin windows instead of redoing the old ones. I mean,
Well, but that's the thing, that if they are totally into saving, if with no consideration whatsoever for the longevity, cost, or anything, and that is not a reasonable approach to take when you are overseeing what is for most people their most valuable possession, which is their house.
So to that point, Todd, I actually agree with you. So I'm having all my historic windows rebuilt I could have done the whole house in thermal windows for half the price. But I'm not gonna hold people that come before us. That's my aesthetic when I'm handing my candles, you know?
Taking your candles, and you did get here in a horse and buggy, right?
they also,
But no, seriously, but so that's something I appreciate, and it does that, I'll appreciate, but it's not something I'm gonna hold an applicant to, but I think training can only make us better.
I do think on Gravel Street, it made absolutely no sense though that they were making them reglaze the windows and then they were gonna have them put aluminum storm windows on top.
I
So that
don't disagree with you. I do not disagree with you on that one at all.
made no sense. But I see both sides.
It's just that at the time that the prior Historic District Commission basically was sent packing, it was because there was a groundswell from the neighborhood about the extreme rigidity shown by the Historic District Commission to multiple people who came and appeared before them.
No, but on that, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
On that note, I will say, I also think that there has been polar opposite your terms groundswell, the public coming out and saying, hey, you need to pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that we have a very diverse commission from people that are in real estate, builders, people that are more preservation minded. I think it's a much more diverse board and will continue to be a more diverse board than the board that when I came back to Mystic, I was terrified of to come in front of. So I think we're doing a great job, and I think it's good that there are multiple opinions from different angles. Which is much different than there was 10 years ago, which you remember.
I agree with Eric 100%. I mean, as much as we tease each other, I kind of like that we're on different bookends, but we agree, we work together, and I think it's fair to say we're not, it's not about what you want or I want, it's about representing the members of the, people that live in the historic district in the town. And I think, it's a good mix. I like this board. I think we need you, we need a me, and everybody in between.
I do think, and I've been saying this for 3 years, I think we need to do a rewrite of HDC guidebook though, to clean up things that are not being. Well, clean up some technology changes that are not included in there. And just clean up some things that, like the handbook says, under no condition shed dormers, and shed dormers are widely accepted now.
Right.
Um,
No, and I was saying that when I was reading it earlier today, Eric, I think after the first year, we should
Figure,
into getting that updated.
yeah, maybe not even a full rewrite, just a cleanup. Because there's some stuff that's just archaic and there's some stuff that isn't even in there that we're dealing with every day.
Yep.
Like mini split. Heat pumps and solar panels.
Well, solar's always, solar's a little different from everything else, but.
Well, but I mean,
But it's not gonna hurt to at least have it documented.
I think it would be the worst thing to either just redline it so that we all actually for once have to like really look at it and be like, oh. You know, because there's still stuff that I do a search on and it pops up and I'm like, I've never even noticed this. No, and there's all that stuff in there about the street gutters and things like that, that, I mean, I don't,
Right.
I think is interesting, but.
There you go, Ted. We'll put you in charge of that project.
You can start now and finish. in 10 years.
No, we just gotta lock you in a room and we'll feed in ramen food.
We'll slide it.
We need page 1 through 20 done by the next meeting.
It's a cleanup.
Is there a editable file of those things already around?
Is there a Microsoft Word
Is there a
document?
I think it was typed on a typewriter.
I'm not sure.
I think it's scanned in, I think it's scanned.
Well, if you can scan it in and go through that arduous task of fixing all the typos.
So it'd be on the online permitting.
Yeah.
Have it in there.
Do you think maybe when Linda gets back, you could see if there is a Word doc kicked
Yeah.
around somewhere?
Yeah.
And if
But
there's,
I think there was, so, yeah.
just forward it to us.
On the floppy disk.
Yeah.
Like the real one, not the.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Got the old Commodore 64 up back, yeah, like the.
The other question about guidelines, do they need any kind of approval from anybody or can just
Public
you gotta
notice.
say,
No, public notice, we have to.
I don't know, that's. So they're changing all the time anyway, like solar panels would be an example.
I think you're gonna,
Change,
you
right?
would bring in your, you would bring, it'd be like zoning, so similar to zoning. If you do a zoning change, if you change the regulations of zoning, you have a public hearing. Public has a chance to talk about it, discuss, give their input to the board.
I think you have
So
to.
understanding the process is a big piece of how you wanna go about
So-
cleaning them up.
Yeah.
Just so I'm clear on the understanding, we pick a paragraph, we want to tweak it, rewrite it. We all agree on it. We just have to make that notice in the public. So if we did it
It
today,
takes a while to get through the whole process.
I think you
It's
want
not
to,
simple, it's not a simple undertaking. It'll take probably almost a year to get it squared away.
and I think you also want to do it in one shot. You don't want to be.
do it section by section.
Right, because you guys are
Okay.
volunteering your
Okay.
time and you guys would be going through and picking sections. All right, we're gonna go through these 4 pages,
Okay.
whatever, and yeah. Bring it back, hash it out, go to the next meeting.
I think that would just also solve a lot of where the issues come from, of ambiguity and
Well, the previous practices that were allowed.
yeah,
That's a big-
also maybe not equal enforcement
Yep.
too.
Right.
Fair enough.
I'll just say it, we have to be doing something right for the Architectural Digest to name Mystic the 15th most historically beautiful town in America.
We do a good job at it.
No, but no, it's funny you bring that up, and that's what I want to say is as much as we teased about it. I mean, I think. For our Mystic merchants, and everybody else, it's something we need to be cognizant of. I mean, Architectural Digest said, what other travel magazine, 15 most beautiful towns to visit in the winter, Mystic. So, you know, that's where some of my heartburn comes in is not making it Disneyland down there. You know, our forefathers were smart enough to keep it the way it was for how many years, and I think
Never have the parking for that.
No,
that's a good problem to have.
but also, they did name it that after, like, my building went up, after Central Hall went up. After you've done some changes, so I think change is fair.
True, but Central Hall, I think was very, they got another section I pulled again that says our job is to protect the architectural something of the town.
Yeah, I think they're cohesive.
They're cohesive, your building's cohesive, Central
Right.
Hall's cohesive, I mean. You know, not to pick on projects, I don't know by name, but ones that look like they came out of Vegas were not cohesive.
No.
You know, putting A-frame signs up all over town, so it looks like a carnival is not cohesive. And that's, you know,
Yeah.
Mystic merchants are doing well for a reason, and they pay a large part of the tax base, and we need to make sure we maintain that, and that's make people come here because it is that beautiful quintessential town.
And I think you notice that people are now taking a little more pride in things.
Yep.
Too. At least from 32 years I've been here.
So I had another question for just. If the commission makes a mistake. then what happens? Like, you give a COA and then you realize you shouldn't have afterwards, like. I don't want to talk about a specific case, but say you approve the fence and then later we decided we shouldn't have approved the fence.
It's too bad. Made a mistake.
You know, but then meanwhile, the person's built. What happens then? I
Well,
mean,
the public's only got so much of an appeal process. So we have 15 days to appeal.
And the public's,
oh, okay, so it's,
the public's not gonna appeal anything.
Right.
Ever, unless it's something so
yeah,
ridiculously egregious, because
right.
it's very expensive to appeal. Unless you're, happen to be a land use attorney and you decide to make the
I
appeal
mean,
on
I
your own.
think that you're just trying to get this to work out well with this fence. Right.
But I don't think that you can typify what we were talking about here is the commission making a mistake. The commission made an assumption that the chain link fence was not visible.
No, the commission relied upon a statement that the chain link fence.
Yeah,
was
right.
not-
So they didn't really make a
They
mistake,
showed the fence, they showed where it was going.
right? And it was incorrect. It turned out it was incorrect, but you didn't really make a mistake.
When I did the transcript, Bonnie even asked twice, like, hey, take pictures from here, take. So there was a lot of concern this would be visible. So I agree with Todd.
All thinking about if the fence was visible.
You know, that's the
It's
issue.
hard to tell
To-
beforehand versus afterhand. right?
Well, to give you a different hypothetical, if we had approved, you know, a 6-foot vinyl fence. And then suddenly we're like, oh crap, why did we approve a vinyl fence?
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about it.
Okay.
But in this one,
guys, I'm just curious about how that works, right?
Well, it's like, what about the bookstore? The brick bookstore?
Yeah,
That was approved, that was done before the Historic District Commission was in effect. But that's one of the most butt ugly buildings there is around. That's a total mistake. Right?
Right.
So, and you gotta live with them.
Yep. I
Oh,
think
but
the-
that upsets me
no,
very much.
I have one and it's against me. The air conditioner's on the top of my building. I wish we had done something better to screen those. I
When you
think
come down the hill, you can see.
it's like, it looks like garbage. I've admitted it.
Well, and then the other thing is you look at Gravel Street. I'm not gonna say whether that was a mistake or not, because it's not fair to put it on the board anymore, but
Best you can, I get it.
what's interesting is anything that's under and the National Historic, the Register, which is most historic district, it's covered under the Connecticut EPA laws, which is part of the public trust. So a large part of the public did not agree with the commission's
Right.
decision to approve
Okay.
that, and they were able to, under Connecticut EPA law, get a second bite at the apple. So
Oh, good.
I mean, but there's been stuff.
One other, I've been thinking about, is the blacktop driveways are not. But they're all over the place, so I'm curious, what, you know,
if it's 11 feet, we have no say on it, right?
all the ones that are out there got it in before.
If it's under 11 feet, we don't have a say, but also. I mean, I think that the woman who was on tonight is.
Go-
Bullock.
Yeah.
That oil and stone one looks awesome. I think that should be something we should encourage for everyone. It's just more money.
Well, the whole thing with that house is amazing. I remember when they bought it to where it is today, they're just.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a great job up there.
But it's kind of like blacktop was so accepted for a while. I mean, I have a gravel driveway, so I didn't do blacktop and I could have done it, but. It was kind of like
There's some blacktop next to the neighbors though, too.
There's
to the
plenty of
left of me,
blacktop.
yeah.
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 So I don't know, I mean, I'm not trying to serve.
No, but I think because it's under the width of 11 feet, there's no,
Then there's.
Doesn't matter.
there's no,
Only if it's
there's no
water.
oversight by us. If it's
Good.
9 feet, 9 inches, they can blacktop.
They can
But
do
also-
whatever they want.
That's been blacktop since
It's in the guidelines about the blacktop.
it's in the guidelines with 11 feet.
About the drivers 11 foot.
I mean, I think we should discourage it. I do.
Yeah.
But I know like for for John and Judy, or not John, blanking, sorry, my neighbor still left. That's been asphalt since like the 70s.
Yeah.
So
Like,
Mike, yeah, sorry, and Judy.
What about the standard? That's all blacked
That's all
out.
blacked up.
What the hell? How'd you get away with that?
Yeah.
An outrage. I have gravel.
Send me an email on an enforcement action. We could look at that, sir.
I have parking lots at-
97%
at the marina.
of
Those are, my parking lots are all gravel and it's kind of nice looking, but it's an incredible pain.
Especially.
You know, when they plow.
Yeah.
you know, and the people spin out and the rocks are flying everywhere. And I mean,
I think you can't do gravel in like a high commercial use.
I don't think you're supposed to.
No, it would be, I mean, think about the trash trucks. Oh my God. Be dragging the stuff everywhere.
But then you also run into the permeable surface kind of issues too.
Right.
Where you're trying to have more permeable surfaces for storm drainage ideas, which gravel gives you.
But what are you gonna do with like, at the apartments at Factory Square? You're not gonna make a gravel parking lot.
Well, yeah, no kidding.
Imagine that.
That slope there, that stone will end up in the storm sewer. The storm sewer would clog up and then downtown Mystic would flood. Then what were you gonna do?
They'd be not on your door.
I do think that, though, you raised a point, which is something I wanted to bring up, which I think we need to be really careful about. Just going forward with submission things, though, when people show photos and stuff. Because when someone's coming for a reapproval or something like that, or to get something approved that they didn't seek approval for, and they show the photos, like this even goes back to the house on Pearl Street where she put that garage addition or the garage, I don't remember what it was. And it was behind the house and she shows the photos. It's my understanding that if they show the photo and we approve it, whatever's in the photo is approved.
So I'd like to speak to that specifically.
No, I'm saying if someone does something.
Yeah.
So the woman on Pearl Street built a garage, I think, without approval. I think, and she came to get approval for it. And she showed us all the photos of it was already built.
Yeah.
So we were just approving the
Oh, yeah. I know what you're
Unpermitted.
talking about. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Whatever she shows in those photos, if we don't catch something or we're not paying attention and it doesn't matter because it's in the photos, it's in the record, it's approved.
Just came before the board reviewed it.
Right.
They had a chance to look at it.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. I had that specific situation with Tom where I questioned something saying, hey, this wasn't approved. Even though it wasn't brought up in the application, he goes, well, you guys looked at the photo and you approved it, so it
Right.
counts, so.
Right.
It's a good point, Eric, and I think we need to be I was actually even thinking like, for my own personal use, having a checklist. Like, is this here, because I think unfortunately that's a case of where no good deed goes unpunished around here. You might try and want to help the guy out, but then. Something slides through and we're stuck and that, again, we're doing a
It's
service. to the
difficult to
public.
justify, well, we're submitted photos of what's actually there and you approved it.
But I mean, I think we should be cautious or not, we should just be zealous to ask for photos of all angles, things like that.
Hmm.
So at least there's not any like. Well, you only took an angle from this degree, but not from that degree. And we didn't know. I think the only problems we have is with. People being like, well, you allowed it here and you didn't allow it, or whatever, where it's technical stuff, not. Whatever. So I think just being aware of that. All I got. Thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for letting me talk.
Yeah. And we get you a nameplate, hopefully sooner than later. We could. Cross out.
Yeah.
X.
Take some paper here, fold it over.
So there's no more new business, there's no minutes to.
Nope.
So we can motion to adjourn.
Sure. Thank you.